Four takeaways from the Vikings 53-man roster. What's up, guys, and welcome to the Minnesota Vikings Syndicate, a show for the fans by a fan. Do me a favor, if you're a new viewer or a returning viewer and want endless amounts of Minnesota Vikings content, do me a favor, hit that subscribe and help me reach my goal of 300 subscribers by kickoff of the regular season when we take on the Green Bay Packers on September 11th. That's week one, folks, right around the corner. Cannot wait for it. Hit that subscribe. Be much appreciated. So, we're going to give you four takeaways from the Vikings 53-man roster, which was set yesterday. And these four takeaways go a little bit in depth by Tyler Forness of I believe the Vikings Wire kind of dove into this situation and gave us a look at what the 53-man roster really looks like. So for the first takeaway is, well, welcome to Moneyball. Tyler Forness follows it up with saying, when the Minnesota Vikings hired Adofo-Mensah to be their new general manager, a shift in philosophy was bound to happen. Rick Spielman was a football guy known to be a stickler in trade negotiations, but got a little loose with the contracts towards the end of his tenure. With Adofo-Mensah, he looks to be approaching things with a Moneyball-type strategy. The proof was in the pudding on Tuesday with two moves. Waiving Watts for Blacklock saved the Vikings about $1 million, and then they can cut Blacklock after this season with no penalty if it doesn't work out. The other move was trading Jesse Davis to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Knowing that they were planning on cutting him, Adofo-Mensah traded him to the Steelers for a conditional 2025 7th-round pick. Not only did it save the Vikings $1.5 million on the cap, the Vikings got an asset back in return. This is the strategy moving forward. Maximize every dollar you can and take chances with upside. So, the first takeaway, welcome to Moneyball. The second takeaway is, well, hey, Rick Spielman is in the past. Here's what Tyler Forness said. The last few drafts for Spielman were not what you would want to put on a resume. His 2021 class is the prime example of why he was replaced. Adofo-Mensah ended up releasing 8 of his former draft picks, with 6 of them being from 2021. The third round of the 2021 class was one that believed that could be the foundation of the next core. Kellen Mond, Chaz Surratt, Wyatt Davis, and Patrick Jones II were all projected to be contributors this year, and in the case of Mond, the 2023 season, on Tuesday, Adofo-Mensah cut all but Jones II. This is a signal to what has been an issue for a while, but some have refused to admit. The depth on the team was bad. Now that Adofo-Mensah has cleaned out the old guard, he can move or continue to load the cabinets with players that he and his regime believe in. So that's a huge upside for us. Rick Spielman, see you later. I wanted him out of the building for quite some time. Now we're bringing in Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, hopefully to bring this or turn this team around. Now the third takeaway. Draft picks were actually given priority. Tyler Forness says Adofo-Mensah moved on from 8 of former general manager Spielman's picks, but he didn't do so with his own. Even though the Vikings likely could have slid 1 or 2 of their late day 3 picks onto the practice squad, but Adofo-Mensah to this point isn't willing to take that risk. The biggest 2 surprises of that group were defensive lineman Esizi Atamiwo. I hope I probably butchered his name. Sorry, man. And offensive lineman Vidarian Lowe. Both have the size measurables you are looking for, but are raw as sushi and need to grow and develop. Is that something that you would want to have on your roster during the season? It honestly depends on how you view the player. Neither one is ready to play, but their presence on the roster says that the regime views them highly for the future. And I think this is kind of a trend going forward, right? If you're a general manager or a new general manager, and you have your draft picks that you selected compared to the draft picks that the old regime selected, you're going to want to roll with your guys because those are the guys that you invested your time in and your scouting department in. And that's the ones you want to roll with, not so much the old ones. You will if they show something promising in preseason or in practice and stuff like that. But that's kind of the trend when general managers like to keep their players. Now, the last takeaway, the fourth takeaway, the Vikings just aren't done. We just picked up Jalen Reagor in a trade with the Eagles yesterday, so I'm pumped about that, I guess. I'm not really sure where he's going to be going or what his role is going to be on this offense, but the Vikings aren't done just yet. Tyler Forness says, when you look at how some of the position groups are stacked, the Vikings will likely be active players in the waiver wire on Wednesday. The running back room will probably stay at 5 players pending on Alexander Mattison trade that has been rumored for the last 48 hours. The wide receiver room continues to see or could see some activity due to the lack of a 6th true receiver. The 6th receiver is Dan Chisena, okay? He was actually released. He's probably going to get put on the practice squad, and he's a punt gunner. Tight end leaves something to be desired, especially if Irv Smith Jr. goes down with another injury, something that has already happened twice. Offensive line is interesting. Both Lowe and Oli Udoh were viewed as fringe players to make the team. Could they target a play on the waiver wire such as Brock Hoffman? The same goes with the defensive line. Tomowo isn't ready to play. Could a player such as Ndamukong Suh be a target? There will be movement by the Vikings, and it could come in just about any form come 11 a.m. yesterday, and we've already made a trade with Jalen Reagor. Cannot wait to see what the Vikings do. I feel like we're not done. Ndamukong Suh is definitely a piece, but we obviously traded for Ross Blacklock from the Houston Texans, so I think that is out of the question. Now, tight end is something that we could see happening. Maybe bring in Eric Ebron, all right? That would be a pretty good person to have on our team, but a tight end is definitely something to keep your eye on. But those are my 4 takeaways from the Vikings 53-man roster. If you like this video and you like the Minnesota Vikings content in general, do me a favor, hit that subscribe. Our goal is 300 subscribers by kickoff, which is September 11th when the Green Bay Packers come to town. So have a great rest of your day. Skol Vikes.